Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play series for F1 Manager 2023. I'm very excited to start playing this game after the success, in my opinion, of last year's game. I had a lot of fun with that one, although I think there was some mixed comments on some of the Steam comments that I saw. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. We played Williams Racing last year, as you guys can see on the screen. We will not be playing Williams again this year, even though they are channel colors and I like blue. So what can I say? You guys already know who we're playing as. We're going to be playing as probably the hardest start for this year. I don't even know if it's arguable. I think they absolutely are the hardest start this year. In fact, I actually think this start is harder than Williams was last year, and that is going to be Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo, the reason why this start is so hard is not only do they have one of the lowest sponsorship monies per race, so they're getting very little money per race compared to some of the other teams, but they also start with practically no money in their bank account at the beginning of the season. So you're not going to have money to do any, buildings or development or anything like that. I mean, you are, but not much, obviously. Also, not only all of that, but they have the worst car in the entire grid from the get-go. So we're starting off very poorly. They also have the ninth worst headquarters and the ninth worst staff. So two things that we also want to improve on. They do have the sixth best drivers according to the stats. However, I don't plan on keeping our drivers. I'll probably keep one of them. I think I'll keep Bottas here because he's an older driver. He's going to be consistent from the get-go, and he's got a long contract from the beginning of the game, so breaking his contract would cost us too much money. But Zhao here he's only got 9 months left on his contract, and I personally, one of the things I like about games like this is getting younger drivers that maybe aren't the best of the best and developing them to be the best of the best. We did that last year with Theo. He's still very good this year in a lot of ways. So we might take a look at him, and we might take a look at a couple other options. We will see, but expect these drivers to change very quickly, which will probably put us in 10th place on drivers. So not only are we starting poorly, but I'm going to take a step backwards even further by getting some different drivers from the get-go. Although I will try to improve the staff fairly quickly as well, so expect that. But I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited as well. Without further ado, let's get into our Alfa Romeo run. All right, here we are in the game. And full disclosure, this is not my first attempt at this. If you guys saw my comment on the channel, in the community hub, I tried this recently, as in last night, and at the time that I'm recording this, and we only got like 3 races in and destroyed like our chassis 4 times in one weekend. And it was a brand new chassis that I'd only had time to build 2 of. So because I couldn't race my cars without a chassis, and I couldn't substitute the lower chassis that we start with, I had to emergency build 4 chassis that weekend. It's a stupid amount of money, guys. It was bad. It was so bad. I mean, I would have been better off just retiring both my cars and just being like, okay, we're done. But I thought, surely they can't damage it again. And then it happens. And I'm like, okay, twice, fine. Okay, we got really bad luck. Surely it won't happen again. I mean, it was so bad. So we're going to try and make some different changes this time around. I went very aggressive on development from the beginning in that run, and it really put us in a bad spot financially. I mean, we're just going to be in a bad spot financially the whole season, but I think I can make some adjustments to put us in a slightly better spot financially. Like I said, I only made it 3 races in, so I have not gone very far, but I have learned the hard way some very hard decisions, or very hard lessons, I should say. But we're going to take a look at this. There are some changes, obviously, from F1, I should say, 2022. So we'll try to cover those where we can. I'm probably going to make this kind of a lightweight series from the racing perspective, because a lot of this game is the driver development, the car development, now the pit crew development, and things like that. Getting the qualifyings done correctly, things of that nature. And I'm probably going to just do most of the racing offline and show you guys highlights, more or less. That's the plan. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. If you prefer to see the full races, let me know, and I can definitely adjust. More than likely, what will happen is I'll probably breeze through the first season doing that kind of highlight mode, and if enough people said, hey, we want to see the full race, well, then maybe for the second season on, I can do full races. Or if you like it with the highlights, I'll keep that going as well. But anyway, let's start here from, let's start from the right-hand side. We don't care about standings, but let's start with finances. One thing, like I said, we have very little sponsorship money. We're only getting 2.2 million per race. We've only got 2 actual sponsor obligations up here. And actually, they're both bad sponsor obligations. One is going to give us pausing our driver development for both of our drivers. I mean, I don't care so much for Bottas having paused because he's not going to develop that much anyway. But Zhao here is younger and he will have a lot of room to develop. And having his development paused quite frequently is going to be pretty rough. And then we also have a pit crew decrease in performance for our pit crew for 15 of the race days. That's pretty rough as well for not really that much money, quite frankly. So if I had it my way, I would redo these sponsorships. We'll just have to try and get through this first season and get to that next season. The other thing I will show you is that cost cap, I don't know if it is tighter, as in I don't know if it's less money than it was before, but the car parts are more expensive this year. And so it's like a lot of the research stuff like that. So we're going to hit that cost cap or be close to that cost cap a lot sooner than we would have in last year's version. So the cost cap is going to be looming over us the entire season. We'll have to deal with that. Other than that, I don't think there's really much else to see here from the finance screen. So let's go to the board. Here's the big thing. Here's the other reason why Alfa Romeo is, like I said, probably not arguably the toughest start in F1 Manager 2023. The board wants us to be 7th or higher. At least for Williams Racing, I think we had like a 9th or higher goal last season. Like they were just like, just don't be the worst. 7th or higher is going to be hard with the limited money that we have, the limited development we're going to be able to do. It is going to be a tough challenge to try to get close to that 7th. We will see what we can do, but we might get fired after this first season. This might be a very short series. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else I want to look at here. Yeah, I think we're good there. Facilities. Now, here's another thing I'm going to be poking around at. There are some tweaks, I would say, to some of the facilities. I think the facilities, for the most part, are the same facilities, but I think some of the numbers within them are tweaked. For example, the car part test center, I don't remember if that was in last season's, but let's just pretend it was. I mean, I think there was something down here that was similar to this, if it's not named the car part test center. But the car part test center is a building that we probably want to be developing up, because not only does it going to help our engine cooling and brake cooling, both of which seem to be very important in this year's version, but they're also going to help the DRS Delta, which is, I think, a new stat for this season as well, that is going to be very important for us, as well as just downforce and drag reduction. I mean, it's just a very good building, really good stats all the way around. Jimmy. So we should be trying to develop this whenever we can. Not right yet. It's going to be a little too expensive for us to develop right now, but something we're going to be looking at. The suspension simulator, the CFD simulator, and the wind tunnel are probably going to be things we hold off on, unless maybe we just couple a upgrade in with the condition being low, things like that. So if we're gonna have to refurbish it anyway, we might as well pay a little bit extra money to upgrade it. That's probably gonna be the path we go with that. Our factory only being level 1 is going to make things very challenging for us, because we're only gonna be able to manufacture 2 parts at a time. Really slows things down a lot. We would love to upgrade this as soon as we can. And then of course the design center can help a lot as well. I mean, I'm not super concerned about this one because we at least have 4 project capacity. The 10 engineers, I mean, we're not gonna be able to spend that much money anyway. So, I mean, if we had more engineers and we could do things faster, I don't know that that would help us that much. Obviously, there's other bonuses here, but at some point we might upgrade the design center. Not a concern early on. Staff facilities, I mean, we got the scouting department. I mean, the 2 scouts that we have are gonna be a little bit rough when we're trying to get some new staff replacements and driver replacements at the beginning of the game. But once we get all of our scouting done, I'm going to be happy that we only have a level 1 scouting thing, because we just don't need scouts after that. The race simulator is going to be very important for us. If we get new drivers, we want them to develop. Same thing with the team hub. We're going to want this to be going pretty quickly, because we want our staff to be able to develop, as well as getting our team attractiveness and morale up. In fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and kick this off. It's only 800,000 bucks from the beginning. We're going to go ahead and kick that off and get that rolling. This is 2.8 mil. We don't have the young drivers that I'm looking for yet. We may hold off on that one for a little bit longer. Operations facilities. I think those are all basically the same. We have a level 1 weather center. We're going to stick with that for quite some time. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea of having more accurate weather, but I don't know that more accurate weather helped me in my Williams save last year's version. So we're just going to stick with the low level 1 and just be happy that we're not having to pay much in monthly upkeep. Hospitality area could make us more attractive for some of those drivers that we might want to be looking at. Same thing with the boardroom. Obviously, race confidence would be a good thing to have boosted. The tour center is actually going to be one I am going to craft. And the reason I'm going to craft this one is it's $13,000 weekly income. So what is that? 52,000 bucks a month. right? I did that math right. Minus the 9,000 monthly upkeep. So we're talking 43,000 bucks a month, basically. It's not much, but it's only going to cost us 118,000 bucks to build. So in 3 months, this will have paid for itself, and it's going to be fine. I mean, so I think we're going to be happy with this. I won't go probably past level 1, because past level 1, it becomes significantly less efficient. But the first level is definitely worth it, because we just get a big, huge boost of 13,000 bucks of weekly income for doing a whole lot of nothing. And then the other thing we're going to probably be boosting up here is the helipad. It will also boost our team attractiveness, but also give us some more sponsor payouts. If we can hit some of those sponsorship payouts, which we're going to go for the bottom of the barrel, like reach 15th place or reach just Q2, things like that. At least we can get a little bit of more money from those. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing built. It's not very expensive. And I think that's going to be good for us. Some of these other ones, again, could be helpful down the road, but not something we're going to be worried about right now. Scouting. We definitely want to scout some people. We definitely want to scout some drivers for sure. I want to get me some young drivers pretty quickly here and get them started, get them comfortable in our world, and get them started development. So one thing I am going to do, I don't know if we can get him, because I have a feeling that he's not, like I was saying, he's not interested. I want to scout Oscar here. If by some miracle we could get Oscar, I think Oscar would be an amazing pickup. He's 21 years old, so he's still quite young, right? Tsunoda actually wouldn't be a bad one to pick up either, though. He's 22. But we're going to start with Oscar here. We're going to do detailed scouting on Oscar. I'm going to hope that we can get our team attractiveness up through some of those other, things that maybe he'd be willing to join us. We'll see. We'll see. I doubt it, because, I mean, come on, McLaren's going to do much better than we are this first season out. But you never know. I'll hold off on Tsunoda right now, because I think we are going to go ahead and scout Theo. We're going to go ahead and scout Theo. We're going to go ahead and do detailed scouting for Theo as well, I think. And those will be our first 2 scouts. We'll see if we can get one of those. If I can get us more attractive, maybe we can get Oscar in here. You know what? Honestly, I really think Oscar would be so good for us long term. Can I boost my attractiveness in any other way? I mean, the memorabilia room is 40,000 bucks. Hospitality room. It's only it's $1 million, but it's 10 team attractiveness. Boardroom. I think we're going to need the boardroom anyway, honestly. Let's go ahead and do the boardroom. I don't think level 1 is going to give us the team attractiveness, but maybe we can level that up, get a little bit more confidence for our race stuff, and maybe save our job, quite frankly. Do I want to bother with the hospitality area? Or more morale would be useful. Look, we got a lot of development to do, but some of these are relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things. And if we can get us a really good young driver, then I'm going to be pretty happy with that. So we're going to go with some of that. That's a little bit different than I did last time. I'll just slow that for the record, but it's not by a significant margin. And one of the ways we're going to make up for that is through some of our development changes. All right, so staff. Our staff is what, 9th worst on the field. I definitely want to change a couple of these. So technical chief is basically the same as it was last year. Head of aerodynamics, mostly the same. We'll go ahead and start in here, and we'll see if we can develop these guys a little bit as well, actually. I mean, underfloor is still going to be one of your best things to develop, quite frankly. Underfloor, front wing, rear wing are always just going to be good. So if we got anything that's going to have all of those, then I might focus on that. I don't see that. We got front wing, rear wing, chassis. I do want just underfloor thrown in there. So we got underfloor and side pods. Side pods is going to be pretty good for us too, because it's going to help us keep our engine cool. And that's going to be something that we really want to focus on. And I'll get into that once we get into the car development. I'm going to go with, let's go with rear wing. Let's go with downstream airflow, see what that does. That's the one of the things that's different from this season from last season, right? Last season, your guys would just develop and they would get a couple points that you can put wherever you wanted to. This season, you actually focus in on, I mean, you could still go balanced, but you don't get to pick the points. It just goes wherever it decides to put the points. That's why these focus things are so important, because then I will only get points in one of these 3 categories, and allows me to build them up the way I want to build them up. So we're going to do that. Head of aerodynamics. Truth be told, I actually mostly okay with keeping you basically even. I mean, early on, I might give you a little bit of cooling, because I still think cooling is going to be very important for us. I like the DRS Delta on there as well. High speed downforce, low speed. You know what? Downforce is going to be critical. Let's go aero principles. It'll give us a little bit of cooling potentially as well. See what that does for us. Race engineers are mostly the same, except for one change. They no longer have the pit crew under them. that is now that new category, the sporting director. So in my opinion, now that you guys might decide this is different, but in my opinion, feedback is the least useful stat for pit crew, because personally, I typically don't have trouble getting our setup figured out during practice. I usually can get, 95 plus, things like that. So I don't think feedback is going to be something we're going to be focusing in on. The fact that this guy's high stat is feedback is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. Communication is going to be important because that's going to help us grow our affinity more quickly, which is going to be good for that pairing between our driver and our engineer. And then composure is also going to be very important because that's going to help us stay good when bad things start to happen to our drivers, which is just inevitable, right? Plus, it actually gives them more confidence when positive things happen. And confidence is an extremely important stat this year, and we'll get into that once we look at the drivers. But I think communication and composure are the two that I'm going to be focusing on, so we'll go with responsiveness here, and I'm going to be pretty happy with that. Same thing with you. You also apparently have your highest status feedback. Your communication is pretty low. Composure's, not bad, but we'll go with responsiveness for you as well. And then finally, sporting director. Sporting director is how we control our pit crew. And pit crew, we can actually train them now where they can actually be, quicker at doing the pits, as well as having less errors, things like that. They can also increase their effectiveness for changing parts during practice and qualifying. And I think during, when you have to change a part during the race, things like that. So there are some stats. We'll take a look at that when we look at the pit crew in a bit. But the thing about the pit crew is their level ceiling, as well as their floor for how quickly they can do a pit, is based off this aptitude stat for your sporting director. So our aptitude stat here, 83. I mean, it is his highest stat, so that's good, but it's not great. I mean, there are definitely some guys out there that have much higher aptitude stats. So we definitely want to improve this quite a bit. Training is not going to be a problem at all. We're definitely going to be probably by halfway through the season, our guys are going to be pretty close to capped on their training, especially if the aptitude stays at 83. So we don't really need training that much. Leadership means that you lose less time when mistakes happen. I'd rather just not make mistakes in the first place. I mean, I know that's pie in the sky wishful dreaming, but if we can lower our mistake chance, I think that's going to be more valuable to us than high leadership to limit the time that we have when when we do make mistakes. So leadership is going to be another stat that I'm probably going to try to ignore. Processes, however, is going to help our fatigue not degrade too much. And fatigue is another stat for our pit crew where if you have high fatigue, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit, if you have high fatigue, that's going to increase your likelihood of mistakes. And fatigue is also what controls how much training you can get in to, lower the time and lower the number of mistakes. So fatigue is very, very critical for us to manage. So in my opinion, the two best stats here are aptitude and processes in that order. And the other two are just, they exist. And if we get development in them, okay, whatever. But we want aptitude and processes, which is going to be industry standards here. So we're going to definitely be focusing on that. And also, honestly, we're probably going to replace this guy whenever we can, because I think there are some better guys out there. That is that. Let's go take a look at the pit crew for just a moment, just so I can kind of walk you through some of what I was talking about. We'll set up the actual pit crew schedule here. Actually, we could probably change it now. Yes. And I do want to change it now. I'll probably keep the same number of days because I think this works out well for the race, because the race is right here. We can't see it, but it's right down there. What I'm going to do is, so there's three ways you can train your pit crew. You can train them on gym training, which is directly relates to estimated pit stop time. You can train them on car building, which is what helps you to change out your parts for setups, and as well, I think during wrecks, or like when you have to replace like a front wing if you crash during a race itself. So still a good stat, but not super critical, because we'd rather just not have wrecks in the first place, in my opinion. And then you have pit stop drill, which you can focus on several different of the stats over here with pit stop drill. And every stat that you get, if we go look over here, and we can, as we get closer to the 83, we will have less chance of mistakes from that as well. Now, the other thing to look at is, if it's going to show us, let's go look at cumulative. It's not really showing us because our fatigue is very low. But if I add in some more gym training, I bet it will show up a little bit more. Let's change all these to gym training. In my opinion, gym training is the first one you want to start with, because we want to get our pit stops down super, super low. And then then second would be managing the chance of mistakes after that. So is it going to go down? It's not going to go down low enough. We'll look once we move over a new month, we'll look at the fatigue. But basically what happens is if you're well rested, it adds basically 0% chance increase to your already, whatever your chance for mistake is. If you get down to this one, It adds, I think, like a percentage point, like 1%. So it's really not that bad. Our goal is going to be keeping it at the low end of this second band here for race day itself. So we're going to try to do as much training as we can, keep it above this line right here at the midway point, because that's where it tips over from 1% to, I think, 20% increased chance of mistake. So huge tipping point there. And then if you get all the way down to exhausted, I think it's like 40% increase, 50% increase, something like that. So we definitely obviously don't want to go anywhere near these bottom bands here, if at all possible. But we're going to go ahead and put in a bunch of gym training here. I think it looks like we're actually going to be still pretty well rested. So we're going to be able to take advantage of some early drops in our pit times here. We're still good. All right, that's actually going to tip us over to tires. So as you can see there, we go from 0 increased chance of mistake to suddenly 0.41, which is basically nothing. We're already at almost 15% chance. Adding up to another percentage point is not going to be that much of a big deal. So we are going to abuse this a little bit and try to get into that tired section a bit. I think I can throw in one more. I hope this doesn't come back and bite me because I can't see the race days over here. But I think I can throw in one more and we'll be okay here. Honestly, we might even be able to throw in 2 more because we'll have two days of rest there. That should be enough to bounce this back up. Watch me be wrong, but I think it is. We'll try this. If we're tired for the first race, it's not the end of the world, but or not tired, but like weary or whatever it is down here. But this will shave off 0.15 of a second off of our pit time. That's pretty big. With only 1+ weeks of training. So as you can see, over the course of an entire season, we might be able to sneak this down to sub 2.2, maybe even a sub 2 second times. I honestly don't know. We'll see what we can do with that. But I'm glad we were able to kind of get those changes in there right away. All right, so that's that. Next up is drivers. Again, I think I want to keep Bottas here because he's an older driver. He should have some good consistency. He's not going to develop much, but we can kind of count on him to just kind of hold down the fort and just do a good job racing. Maybe he's probably going to be our primary driver that's going to get us those 15th place finishes, things like that, get into Q2. Just because he's okay. He's a good driver. He's not like one of the amazing drivers, but he's going to be good enough to get some of those lower, sponsor points. Plus, again, he's got 3 years left on his contract. We really don't want to spend $13 million to try to break his contract. So obviously, we're going to be holding on to him for quite some time. I do like the fact that his aggression is low, so we're going to have a lower chance of him, making mistakes and causing accidents, and then costing us lots of money. Zhao here is going to be somebody we want to get rid of. Pretty much as soon as we can. His cost to break contract is $1 million. It's not great, but if we can get somebody for around the same price or even a little bit cheaper, that'll be okay. But at the very least, I want the guy that we want that's going to be developing for us because his development rate is only average, and I want somebody who's got high development rate. That is going to be my goal. And then our reserve driver we'll replace eventually. I'm not in too big of a hurry to replace this, but we will replace them whenever we can. All right, is it time to look at the cars? It is time to look at the cars. Let's get into this. Oh, before I look at the cars, I forgot to set up our development here. So the best stats that you can have for just pure time increase are your pace stats, obviously, cornering, braking, reactions, and then accuracy is a pretty big one as well, because that's going to help you be more consistent through your lap times. Things like control can lower the chance of having an accident. Things like smoothness can help you push more on your tires. And this year's version of F1 Manager, smoothness might be the most important, arguably, because pushing can be a good way to catch up on other AI drivers who aren't going to be pushing that much. So smoothness arguably is the most important, but just from a raw, if all other things considered the same, if both cars, if you're up against another driver from like Red Bull or something like that, well, okay, maybe Red Bull's a bad example, but if you're up against Williams Racing and they're pushing just as much as you are, then lap per lap, these top 4 stats are going to be what's going to give you that edge if your cars are otherwise pretty close to being equal. Adaptability obviously is going to help you drive better in wet conditions if you're on the wrong tires for a lap or two during those transition periods. And of course, overtaking and defending are exactly what they sound like. But I'm not going to focus too much on these down here. And it's smoothness. I do think we should get smoothness up. So if we can find something that's going to give us smoothness as well as some of these stats up here, I might focus on that a little bit. The best one is braking, followed by, I think, cornering and reactions are pretty close to each other. And then accuracy is the lowest of those 4, but still could be still pretty useful. And he's got actually a lot of accuracy. I'm very happy with that. So what we want to do is probably find something that's in the pace, cornering, braking, reactions, and then maybe smoothness if we can sneak it in. So cornering, reaction. There's cornering and reactions right there. And smoothness. Now, it also has adaptability, which I don't care about as much. Here's cornering and braking and accuracy, but we're already high on accuracy. So I don't know that I worry about that one. There's smoothness. Okay, it's got overtaking and defending. Control smoothness. He's already got pretty high control. I don't expect too many accidents from him. And his accuracy, like I said, is already pretty high as well. Honestly, I think long runs, cornering, smoothness, and reactions. It's got adaptability in there as well, which is one of his lowest stats, but not one that I care about too much. But I think something like this might... I want to get his smoothness up a little bit. If we can get it above 80, I think I'll be happy with that. So we'll go with pace long runs for him. Zhao, for as long as we're going to keep him, we'll see what stats we want to move for him. I mean, his smoothness is already close to 80, so I'm pretty happy with that. Probably cornering and braking if we can get that snuck in somewhere, which I think is pace short runs, cornering and braking. There we go. And a little bit more accuracy. We'll go with that. I'm happy with that. I guess we can have you developing on something. I don't think we're going to keep you. I don't know why we would. But for you, control, cornering and braking, maybe. Control. Braking, control, and overtaking. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go wheel, because I definitely want to get his control up. Because if we ever do drive him, which I don't think we will, we don't want him causing lots of wrecks. All right, now to the car. Now to the important part. This is what F1 is all about, right? It's more about the cars than anything, isn't it? Let's take a look here. So obviously we have the worst car in the entire lineup. One thing I do want to show you guys real quick is, let's go look here. Go look at our powertrain. So we obviously have our engine, and our engine I believe is, which one is it? It's Ferrari. So we have the Ferrari engine. So it's second on power. So it's pretty good engine, to be fair, but its power loss threshold is also is second worst. The worst one is Red Bull. They start losing power at 85%. We start losing power at 80%. So that means we're going to start slowing down pretty quickly past that 80% mark. Mercedes is not one of the fastest ones, but at least it maintains that 90% power for a very large portion of the engine's lifespan. The other things we want to take a look at are the durability of the gearbox and the durability of the ERS. The ERS durability is the best for Ferrari, which is good because ERS is very expensive to replace, and we'll look at that in just a moment. The gearbox is not great, but gearbox is the cheapest to replace, and we have the most of them. So this is actually probably a pretty decent engine for us to have. But at some point, we'll probably switch to Red Bull. Next season, if we feel like we're still towards the bottom, we might actually switch over to Mercedes just to try and make sure we're stretching out the lifespan of our engines a bit longer. And then eventually maybe swap to Red Bull, something like that. We'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. But I'm okay with the Ferrari one for right now, as long as we respect what these numbers say and kind of do what we got to do with them. All right, so here's the thing. We've got three engines. But they cost $5 million to replace. I think they were only like $1 million or $2 million, something like that in last year's version. This is insanely expensive. And I can almost guarantee you, just through wear and tear, we will be replacing one of these on both of our cars at some point this season. At least one. Now, if we get into accidents, stuff like that, that could get even worse. If we don't fix our cooling very quickly, that could be something that's problematic as well. So we only have three engines, $5 million to replace. We've got two ERS at $2.5 million to replace. So these are also extremely expensive. And then thankfully we do have four gearboxes. They're only $1 million to replace. I don't know if these will wear down too fast or not. We'll see how we'll play that by ear. But at least if we do have to replace these, it's not too bad. So I do think we have a lot of replacement parts in our future. It would not surprise me if it had to do at least one engine a piece, as well as one ERS a piece. So that's $15 million right there out of our cost cap that we might have in our future. But the way we're going to try to combat that is and this might be the wrong path forward. This might be the wrong way to do this. But I'm going to try to go a little bit crazy on engine cooling from the get-go. And the reason for that is I just need to try and stretch those engines as long as possible. Even if it doesn't save us from having to craft that fourth engine, maybe it'll save us from having to craft the fifth one or something like that. So we're going to go into design. And the best way to lower engine cooling, I mean, the only two ways you can lower engine cooling are through your side pods and through your chassis. So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to be doing intense focus on everything. But I think for these first two, I think it's going to be a good idea. Actually, you know what? No, I had rethought that, didn't I? Yeah, I have a lot of stats written down on my piece of paper here. I did a lot of testing because I was working today and I was like, I can't play the game, so let me at least do something. So I would like set up a test, like set up some parts and then let the race run in the background while I was doing work. So I did a little bit, some testing today just to try to get some value so I can at least have a fighting chance of getting this right. Because again, this is going to be kind of a hard start for us. But what I think I'm going to do is, if we can justify it through, and by justify it, I mean, if it's going to make sense from a timing standpoint, we are going to put we're going to split the hours between the chassis and the side pod. But if we can get a part out in time for a specific race here, I might actually rush this component, because the very first component we put out is going to be pretty okay. Now, rushing is the worst thing you can do. Don't get me wrong. It is. You get the lowest expertise towards future parts from rushing, but it's not terrible. I mean, it only really starts to come bad if you like rush like 3 or 4 parts in a row. Then you're starting to taper off that expertise and it's starting to look really bad. If we just rush the first one, just to get it out so we can get some cooling in our cars as soon as possible to hopefully extend the lifespan of our engines, I think that might be a good way to go about it. So, one thing we do have, a new stat that we have in our parts this year, is this durability stat, basically taken up by this minimum lifespan. If we increase this all the way to the right, our parts will last longer. So this part could last 6 to 11 races, which means we're crafting less parts. That's a good thing, right? However, it adds weight to your car, which does overall lower the stats that you get from the part. If we go the other direction, we lower. Now we're 2 less races per lifespan. So now we're going from 11 on the high end down to 6 on the high end, which means we're crafting twice as many parts. But this is going to be the way that we're going to try and catch up a little bit, because probably most of the other teams, I don't know how the AI is going to operate, to be honest. It would not surprise me if they just keep it down the middle and just leave it as is. So we're going to try and get a little bit of an edge, and we're going to lower the lifespan. And part of the reason we're going to do this is twofold. One, we are going to try to continue to do development throughout the entire season, which means we're probably going to be replacing parts before they reach the end of their lifespan anyway. And two, as you guys know, we can crash at any point in time, which destroys a part 5 races before the end of its lifespan. Like, lifespan is, I get it. It's a cool, interesting little slider there, but I don't think it's going to be one we're going to be increasing. I think we're going to be decreasing and try and take advantage of the increase in car performance. The other thing, like I said, we are going to go ahead and just maximize the engine cooling. In fact, I think that's exactly what we're going to just set that to the maximum. This is going to give us a 16% increase in engine cooling, which will put us up to 54, 55, it looks like, which I think is going to be outstanding. That's going to move us up 16 spots, give us the we're going to be the 3rd best engine cooling team in the entire league. And just happenstance, we're going to be gaining 2 spots on our medium speed cornering as well. We're only losing a little bit on our high speed. We're actually gaining stats overall. So I think this is going to be exactly the part we want. Now, here's the question. If we rush this, can we get this out in time to not have to rush too many races with bad parts? It takes, I think, 8 days to do a side pod. So we would have to get it in 17 days to get it before Jeddah. I mean, we could technically get it done in time. Honestly, I'd almost rather have that extra one just in case it didn't time out perfectly. We could get this before Jeddah, which means we're cooling our engines way quicker from the get-go. Let me just confirm that real quick so that I'm not like saying the wrong thing. So I don't want design, I want manufacturer. All right, side pods is 8 days. Yep, I was correct. Chassis, how much is side pods if we rush it? Again, spending a little bit extra money to try and extend the life of our engines may end up just being, may save us money down the road. It's kind of the only reason I'm even thinking about this. If we rush it, it's down to 5 days. It's only a couple $100,000, which could save us $5 million on the end of the season. I think that's worth the risk. It may not work out. Honestly, I haven't played an entire season to know if this is going to work out. But I think it's worth the chance to try. So 5 days for that. And then if we look at the chassis is 10 days. If we rush it, 7 days. And it's only a couple $100,000 more. Again, if it saves us $5 million, worth it. So we're going to say 5 days and 7 days. Let's go back to our design. By the way, this first episode might be a bit long because there's a lot to do up front. So bear with me, hopefully. We'll go side pods. We'll go ahead and put all the hours I wanted to put in. I'm going to split it between the chassis and this pod, the side pod. And then we'll go from there. Okay, lower that, lower that, lower that, lower that, increase that. Cool. Looking pretty good. So 5 days. We are going to rush it. Again, maybe it's the wrong move, but it's only an increase of 50%. Right? So it's not, I don't think it's going to be terrible. And if we can get it out for a race sooner, then I think it'll be worth it because we need to preserve our engines for as long as possible. So 5 days. So we want it to get, honestly, we want it for in 19 days would be the ideal. 18 might have to work. 20 I think will be too tight because that'll put it exactly. So we're going to go with 18 days and hope that that's going to be good enough. All right, there's our part. First part in the books. All right, second part. We're going to go ahead and go right into a chassis. Give them the rest of the hours. Get that engine cooling down as quickly as possible. Try to save us that $5 million per car. I actually hadn't thought of that, pointed that out. It's actually more than just $5 million. It would be $5 million per car. So this could save us a significant amount of money on the end of the season if this works. Again, I don't know if it's going to be enough to work, but we're going to try it. So we're going to focus on engine cooling here as well, which still gives us good stats in a couple other places, actually. But this should give us the best engine cooling in the entire grid. It's another 11% there. And this is 10 days. So I don't think we can get it before Jeddah in any way. Sorry, 7 days. So if we added how many engineers, we'd have to get it down to 19, I think I said. Or no, we'd have to get it down less than that. We'd have to get it down to 18. Yeah, there's just no way. So we'll have to get it, we'll try to get it out for Melbourne here, which could mean that we don't have to rush this one. Yeah. Unless we want to build both parts. I'm going to say we just put a couple guys in here. We plan on this one coming out for Melbourne. We don't plan on rushing it. We'll at least get one of the parts out before Melbourne for at least our first car. And at least one of our cars will be a little bit less cooling issues. I think that'll work. And of course, which means we don't have to rush this one. We can save a little bit of money here and get a little bit better part overall, or a little bit more experience for future parts. I think this is going to work out. I think rushing the side pods is okay because it's going to be the biggest boost for engine cooling. But I think rushing this one makes less sense. Do I want to just intense this one then? It's a cheaper part to push for an intense. So it's not going to be super expensive in the grand scheme of things. I'm not going to intense a lot of stuff. I'm going to do mostly normal development early on in the season. But putting intense on a couple parts, especially ones that are tied to CFD hours, might be a good way to go about it. I think I'm going to go ahead and intense this. The timing is going to be perfect. It's going to be just a really good part overall. And it's going to give us more expertise for the future. I think this is going to be fine. All right, then we're going to do a couple normal parts because we're going to save some money. Underfloor is still just like normal. Very critical part for just in general. We're going to, again, lower the lifespan. I think I'm probably just going to bring out just a standard part. Just a generic balanced part. I don't know if that's true, though. You know what? We got to focus on our weaknesses here, don't we? I think we are going to specialize this part a little bit more than I was planning originally. I mean, drag reduction. I mean, top speed is not going to be what's going to cost us early on in the season. It's going to be, we got to corner good. We got to be able to corner well and get behind people. I also don't think dirty air is going to be super critical. Some of the comments I've seen on, or some of the YouTube videos I've been watching and some of the other comments I've seen, speculates that dirty air is just not going to be good unless you already have good cornering to begin with. Our cornering is bad, so therefore the dirty air cornering is just not going to be, like, you have to have good cornering for dirty air cornering to matter, I guess, or good aerodynamics, you know, for that to matter. So we're just going to avoid dirty air for a little bit. We're not going to completely ignore it the entire series, but it's going to be something that probably will come in later once we can get our cornering itself into a good place. And then I think what we're going to focus on is low speed and high speed, because I think our medium is actually, again, it's our theoretically our best stat. So actually push high speed. Give us 2 points there. Can we get a point in low speed at all with anything these sliders? Not really. We could if we just dropped all the way down. All right, we're just going to put this right down the middle. I think that's going to be okay. Tiny increase in medium speed. Much bigger increase in low speed and high speed. I think I'm pretty happy with that part. Yep. And this is just going to be normal because these are very expensive parts. These are like 4 million plus to do if you do intense. So when can we get it out by? Can we get out before Melbourne? This is 8 days, I believe, for underfloor as well. So we would need it out for the 31st. No, we don't have enough engineers for that. It's unfortunate. I think it's just going to have to be the way it is. Then we can get out for Baku then. So let's say we did 8 days for both parts. That's 16. So if we can get it out before the 51st day, which I think we can do just with one engineer. Yeah, we're going to be a co. So let's go ahead and do normal with this. I'm okay with that. We're not going to get out quite as quickly as I would like, but I think it's going to have to be okay. And then finally, I think we're going to go with a... I mean, cornering is very important. I also like the idea of doing a rear wing, to be honest. And DRS effectiveness also sounds really good, to be honest. Let's go with the front wing. I think I could go either way with that. We'll do the front wing. We'll lower the lifespan. We are going to increase the brake cooling because I do want to get some stats into that as well. But we are going to lower not the airflow. Actually, airflow is fine to lower because I want to tweak some of these other numbers a little bit. I can tweak it so I'm not losing any stats, but still gaining a good chunk of air cooling or brake cooling. That's going to help us push more with our tires. And this might not be a bad first part to come out with. It's going to move our brake cooling up quite a bit. No, I think we just need to do a little bit more of a balanced part here. What if I maxed all these? What does that look like? I mean, still a little bit of a boost in brake cooling, which is not bad. Moves us up a couple spots. Most of our brake cooling is probably going to come from our suspension anyway. But I want to prioritize low speed a little bit more than this. Let's move the medium speed down. If we drop a little bit on medium speed, probably not the end of the world. Maybe that much is too much. Yeah. Where do we hit the break point where we don't drop a spot? Right there. But that lowers us quite a bit on the brake cooling and loses us the low speed. I think we're going to go just one notch below. So we're not gaining anything on low speed. We're losing one spot on medium speed, but it's not going to be too bad. We're getting as much as we can on brake cooling. I think something like this is going to be fine. It's really not a lot of low speed. You know what? Are we? I'd really like to get a little bit more of that low speed up there. Try something like that, maybe. Yeah, we'll try this. I mean, the biggest thing we're gaining is the brake cooling, and that's the one I kind of wanted to focus on the most anyway. Future parts, once we got the brake cooling kind of where we want it, we can definitely get better, speed adjustments. All right, we'll do normal here as well. This is a 3-day part, so we got it before... What's the fastest we can get it? 38 days. That's not going to be fast enough for Melbourne anyway. So honestly, it doesn't matter if it's not any faster than that anyway. So we'll just do 1 day here. We'll do normal. And we might be able to move some engineers to some of the other parts. I think a couple of these top parts, we'll just add an engineer to each of them, just to give us a little bit more wiggle room. Just to make sure that we're well under the number that we're looking for. All right, I think I'm happy with that. These are all our engineers. And it's just going to really get us some good cooling stats to kind of get us started and hopefully extend the life of our engines when it's all said and done. All right, I'll bring you guys back when we got a little bit closer to the first race. All right, it is a new month, so it is time to set up the training for our pit crew. Now, I forgot to tell you guys why lowering the pit stop time I feel like is the most important stat for us to go after. Obviously, quicker pit stops means you get back out on the track quicker and you can do better in races. I mean, that's an obvious, but that's more of a side effect than what we're primarily going for. The reason we care about the pit stop times is because in this year's version, there is a pit stop championship that obviously runs alongside the regular championship, where whoever has the fastest pit stops across the entire season gets an extra $12 million at the end of the season. And as you can imagine, 12 million bucks would go a long way for us. That would be so nice. So we're going to go for the fastest pit stop because of that. That's really the biggest reason. Fast pit stops for us in the context of the actual race at this stage of our development is not going to make enough of a difference to matter. But getting that 12 million bucks will help us get our cars into a position where it will matter. So yes, that's our goal. Be the champions of the pit stop timing. And we'll see where we can go from there. I did unfortunately do just one too many pit stop trainings leading up to this first race. So we are going to have a weary fatigue, which means we are going to have a 38% chance of a mistake. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. We'll get through it. This first race is going to be kind of a, it's really, we weren't expecting too much in this first race anyway. So if we have a mistake, we have a mistake. I'm not going to stress it too much, but we can fix it going forward now because we can actually see the races from this point forward. So as you can see, we are actually going to be exhausted if we were to leave it as it is currently going into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which gives us a almost 50% increased chance of mistake, which obviously we do not want to leave that way. So we're going to go ahead and take off several of these and put these back to rest. And make sure we can get this. Oh, we're right on the line. Look at that. We are a sliver below the line. So we're going to have to take off one of these. And we can leave the other one for that day, it looks like. All right, there we go. We're just above the line of tired. Basically no chance of mistake on this one. So I am very happy with how that looks. Now we got to get ready for Australia. Now we can't see Australia, the race day itself, right? But what we can do is we can look at this. We know that this is going to be above the line. This is where we need it. So if we look at the Friday before the Arabian race, we can see that as long as we're just inside well rested before Friday comes up, we should be okay for race day. So it looks like we're a little bit low there. So we'll go ahead and take off a couple gym trainings here. And that still puts us quite a bit low. So we'll go there. All right. Looks like a couple more, actually. I was thinking I was looking at the wrong line. Okay, that actually puts us at well rested. Here. I think we can add, I'm not there. I think we can add one more. Okay, we're just inside well rested. Which, in fact, we're the exact same percentage as we are on the Friday for Saudi Arabia, which means we'll be well within the tired band, which is going to be perfect. And as you can see, we're already going to be decreasing our pit stop times below 2.5 seconds by the time we get to Australia. In fact, yeah, we're at 2.5 there. We're just below 2.5 here. That's not bad. That's a pretty good way to start this up. So I think this plan is going to be working out for us, and we're going to keep going. Now, the one thing I do want to do is get us a better sporting director so that we have a lower threshold for that pit stop time, as well as higher threshold for the training itself. But that'll have to come later because we can't spare the scout right now to go looking for one. All right, that is that. Race is coming up in 2 days. Obviously, we don't have any parts for that. I'll just zip ahead real quick. Construction complete on our tour center and our boardroom. So I did go ahead and craft the boardroom. I'm sorry, I crafted the hospitality room. I don't think you guys saw me do that because it was going to give us a +10 to our team attractiveness. I thought about upgrading the memorabilia room, but it was only going to give us 3 attractiveness, and the hospitality room was 10 for just double the price. So it felt like for a $1 per attractiveness value, the hospitality room was going to end up being better for us in general. That's the boardroom. Now, we don't get any team attractiveness from the beginning for the boardroom, but if we add this, we do get more race confidence, and we do suddenly get 10 team attractiveness for only 600,000 bucks. I think that is well worth it. We're going to go ahead and pick that up. We do have a little bit of money. I mean, I don't want to go crazy. I just don't think that memorabilia room is worth enough value at this stage. I think if anything, I'll upgrade some of these other ones, or I could always go back and upgrade some other things like driver stuff, which we definitely want to get once we get our drivers kind of rolling. I mean, another factory would be amazing, but it's just so much money. I think we're just going to settle on the money we have right now. It's probably going to go away much quicker than we expect. So we'll go ahead and go with this. All right, it is race day. So we got to set up our targets here. We got a finished positions target here. So this was just a guarantee for qualifying. I think we can have one driver qualify 15th or higher. I hope. That would be $1 million if we can. We're going to try. We're going to put everything we can into qualifying, at least get a little bit of money from that. The other one we can select here would be fastest lap. Obviously, we are not going to be getting that. Reach Q2 with both drivers. Oh, why does it have to be both drivers? Because we can't edit that one. All right, well, we're not going to get that one, I don't think. But we could get one driver qualifying position of, again, 15th or higher, get us a little bit, a tiny bit of money. I don't think there's any value in us hitting the Q3 one. We're just miles away from that at this point. I mean, we might get a Q3 if we're lucky, like on like an odd race, but there's no way I'm going to be able to predict that. So we'll go with this a little bit. I hope we can start building up this Q3 stuff. This one is both drivers hitting 15th or higher. That's not going to happen. I'm glad that this is the freebie, so we don't have to have a loss there. But there's no way both drivers are hitting 15th or higher this early in the season. To the race weekend.
Welcome to Bahrain, ladies and
Oh, I never talked to you guys about confidence for the drivers and why it is important. So driver confidence is based off of your track acclimatization. I know that's not the way you say that, but for some reason my brain can't say the real word. Your familiarity with the track, your car parts knowledge, and your setup satisfaction. It's 25%, 25%, and 50%. So just like in last season, if you get all of these above a certain threshold, you will get increased stats for the race itself. However, unlike last season where it was just locked in stats that you had for the entire, qualifying and race, as soon as you got these numbers high enough, it is it's a starting point, and this starting point will then fluctuate based on how you do within the race. And it's kind of like a rich get richer, poor get poor kind of mentality. If you do good things, then your stats will go, your driver confidence will go up, which means you're more likely to do more good things. If you do bad things, or like people pass you or things happen to you, then your driver confidence will go down, which means you're more likely to make mistakes and do more bad things, which is going to make your confidence go down. Like, you obviously want to try to trend this towards the high end for obvious reasons, but it's not just because you don't want to do bad things or you don't want you want good things to happen to you. It also increases your stats. I mean, you can get +2, +3 stats across the board if your confidence is high enough. So we definitely want to get our confidence as high as possible, and the baseline we get from all of the same things we did from last season. So that's all that means. So we will be focusing on getting our satisfaction up as quickly as possible, because that's about the only way we can control right away, and we'll figure out the other ones later. But that is that. So let me go ahead and go away. I'll do the practice. I'll bring you guys back for qualifying, and I might show you guys. We might go through qualifying together for this first race and go from there. All right, we got through practice, and we did get 100% car setups for both drivers. Good to see there. As you can see, they are both basically at the same level as far as this line is concerned. However, Zhao here has a much bigger first section, which means it pushes his blue sections, his high sections, a little bit further to the right. So even though he might have had the same kind of value from the practice sessions that Bottas did, he's actually only down in medium, which only gives him a +1 across the board, plus a medium chance of incident. Whereas Bottas is tipped over into the high, which gives him almost +2 in almost everything that's relevant there, and then a low chance of incident. So you can see the value of getting into those high bands, and of course, the very high and the peak band over here are even more valuable. So good stuff there. I actually don't know what stat controls this, or if this is just static for, this is just the way the driver is. Like, this is just the way, I don't know if you can change this or improve this or anything like that. I haven't really dug into that much. But we're gonna go ahead and get into qualifying here. We got our soft tires on. I'm okay with this, I think. I'm not gonna change anything there. For the very first stint, we are going to just leave the settings as they are. We're gonna do one flying lap. And the reason I'm going to do that, we are going to change it once we get in here, though. And I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. But we're going to do one stint to try and increase the confidence a little bit. And then we are going to try to go for an actual qualifying run after that. So let's go ahead and get into this. We'll manage this and see if we can get any sort of benefit here at all. Let's make sure that's all good, still set. So we'll go ahead and send Bottas out. And then we will send Zhao out. I'll give him a couple seconds. All right, let's get a good run here, hopefully. And again, this is mostly just to get their confidence high. Go ahead and split these so we can kind of look at their confidence. They should get some good confidence once they start getting their flying laps rolling. We're gonna have some pretty good open air. That's good. That's important. Not too much traffic for this flying lap. We got a little bit with noise there, unfortunately. But for the most part, for most of the lap, we were okay. So as you can see now, Bottas is now up into very high. Same thing with Zhao. He's up into very high, just barely though. But that is going to be a good first run for us to get them set up for a better second run here. Bottas is in. And we are not going to change the tires. We're going to go out on the same tires for one more run. But what we are going to do is we're going to go 2 flying laps. And the reason we're going to go 2 flying laps is there's been some YouTubers who have discovered that not every case, they're not for every track, but for a lot of the tracks, and probably more often than not, they actually better set themselves up for a second flying lap. Like the first flying lap gets them in a position where their second flying lap actually just ends up being faster. It could be because the tires are better warmed up after that first flying lap. Who knows? It could be any number of reasons. I mean, you could probably manage these guys manually and get the same effect with just one flying lap. But honestly, I don't want to mess with that. I'd rather just, I mean, if there's a way for me to do it without doing that, then I'm going to go for that. So we're going to go for 2 flying laps and hope that the second one is a little bit faster. It's not going to always be the case, but it seems like more often than not, the second one does end up being faster. So we're going to get that configured, get you reconfigured. Same thing, 2 flying laps, no cooldown lap. And let's get you sent out. And let's get you sent out. Allergies are bad today. All right, we're going to see if these guys get a bigger improvement this time around. They're both still on very high. Or sorry, they're both, yeah, he's very high. He is only high, but he should be okay. Here comes Bottas. There he goes. All right, no improvement on the first one there. No improvement there. He got a little bit faster on his second level, or second section. Come on, can we see it? There we go. See, first section on both of them was their fastest section so far. Second section for him is faster. His is not quite as fast as what he's done. And then third. So Bottas this should be his best qualifying lap so far, right? Because he got 2 faster laps there. That should move him up a little bit. He's actually in the top 15, which is exactly where we need him to be. There's so much money tied to him being in the top 15. Now, I would love to get Zhao up there because we do need 2 drivers in the top 15. Oh, is that for the finishing? That was for the actual race itself, I think. But obviously, if we can get them both in the qualifying, that would be great. All right, so we are going to leave them both on 2 flying laps with the no cooldown, but we are going to go ahead and swap on some brand new tires to see if we can get anything with this last run here. Brand new tires. Do we have enough? I think we have enough time to get the 2 flying laps this time again. That's also part of the reason why I only do 1 flying lap on the first one, to make sure that we have our best chance of getting 2 flying laps for the final one when we put brand new tires on. So Zhao is on very high confidence as well. You are on very high. Okay, I wish we were up in peak. They're unfortunately not there. Maybe I don't think they'll get it through this out lap though. Come on, guys. Come on, come on. Hopefully there's not too much traffic, because obviously that will slow us down a lot. We've got a little bit of traffic coming out right there. All right, nothing. Oh, Zhao actually did that's his fastest first section there. Bottas had his faster second section there. All right, can we get a good one this next one though? They see he's even faster. Let's go. Not a good second one. At least not better. All right, well, I think, oh, Bottas did drop down to 16th. I mean, we did okay though. We're so close. And I think the 2 flying laps still worked in general. We just don't have good cars. I mean, we're just not very good cars. It is what it is. But if we go look at the data view, we can go look at lap history. Like Bottas here. I mean, this is his first one, but then the second one, he was a little bit faster there and a little bit faster there. He was a lot faster there. That was his fastest, like we said. So it seems like the 2 flying laps did definitely work for him. For Zhao, it never really worked, interestingly enough. It worked a little bit there, but that ended up being a slower overall lap than his first one. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it still means we get 5 flying laps in the course of the qualifying, which gives us 5 chances to have a good lap, quite frankly. I mean, and not, have to deal with traffic and stuff like that. So I think it's still a good strategy, even if the second flying lap doesn't always end up being your fastest. We were so close to getting somebody in the top 15. That's a lot of money we just lost, unfortunately. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else we could have done to make that better, though. We did get 2 good flying laps there at the end with brand new fresh tires. It is what it is. It happens like that sometimes. All right, time for race day. let's get into this. We're going to take a look at the reports real quick. Pit stop is 22 seconds. Okay, I'm going to kind of tuck that into my info section. We don't have to worry about looking at the DRS zones because those are actually on the mini-map now when you're actually going to race. So I'm really grateful for that. It's really nice. There's some expected strategy. So here's compound performance. It's almost a full second average lap time between soft and mediums. And it's very little difference between mediums and hards. Very little difference between mediums and hards. So I'm going to take that into account as well. Okay. Let's go look at the strategies we're going to run here then. I mean, we could technically do a two-pit, or a single pit, I should say, two-stint. But I don't think there's any value in that. I think we definitely want to go with one of these other ones and push quite a bit more. I kind of like this strategy. Start strong and end strong. What if we just went crazy and pushed the entire time with both of these? That's not bad. Honestly, what I might do is actually move you to hards. Because we don't lose that much time in theory. And it might give us a little bit more flexibility overall. Like 17 right there would be the best. I mean, is that the right strategy? Or do we just go with the mediums and just slow them down a few times? Maybe we just do the mediums and slow them down a few times. And I'm not saying we're going to push the entire time. This is not how I'm setting this up. We're going to push a lot of it and then probably tone off a little bit towards the end to make sure we don't go below the white line. All right, we're going to go with that. And then you... I might actually have you start slow and have two good ones at the end there. Just to kind of break up the stuff a little bit. I mean, the last stint will technically be lined up more or less the same for both of them. But by then they should be, in theory, spread apart enough that it wouldn't matter. Okay, we're going to go with something like that. Again, we're going to be just below the line in all three of these potentially. So we will have to kind of... We can't go super hard the entire time, but I'm going to plug it into the strategy as we're going super hard so that we kind of know what that line looks like, and then we can kind of maybe keep it a little bit above over the course of the race. I don't think there's any point in changing any car parts right now. We'll just run with these, although at some point once our car parts get a bit lower, we will have different car parts for qualifying versus practice versus race time, things like that. All right, so another new change that they added in is some changes to the ERS strategy. So we do still have deploy, we do still have neutral, and we obviously still have harvest. So those are the three ones that we're used to from last season. The one that is new is the top up. Now top up is almost the same as neutral, except it just barely lifts off the pushing of the ERS just a smidge to give you a tiny bit of charge. That way, if you're kind of like behind people, things like that, you can kind of get a little bit of charge over time to be able to maybe do another push later on. Now, we no longer have overtake and defend under, as alongside deploy, because there's actually a checkbox now that you can select for your ERS that says, hey, be smart, only use your ERS when you're going to overtake or when you're going to defend. And so by selecting that checkbox on and off, that will dictate how we actually use the ERS for honestly all three of these. We could even have that checkbox on and off for neutral or for top up or anything like that. So it may only make sense for deploy. I don't know. We'll have to try it out a little bit, but it's just a different way of doing it. That ultimately ends up probably being about the same net kind of result, but it's just different in how instead of having two different modes there, you can actually have both defend and attack kind of under the same checkbox, which is good. All right. Anything else we want to change here? I don't think so. I think this looks pretty good. We'll go get the first race of the season started. This episode's going to be a little bit long. That's okay. I'll show you guys the first lap here, and then we will probably skip ahead to the end. I don't expect anything exciting to happen over the course of this first race. Our car is not that good, as we all know very, very well. Let's go ahead and just jump in here and go double speed, but we're going to go ahead and look at... There's a new mode that you can see now, where we can see from the driver's helmet mode, helmet cam, I guess. So we can actually see what the driver's seeing. So let's go watch a bit of this first lap from Bottas's point of view. A lot of traffic here at the beginning, as you would expect. Oh, that looks scary. I mean, it always looks scary when we're going double speed. I guess I should probably slow this down, because that's actually making my head shake a bit. Watch a bit of this first lap and just kind of enjoy the driver view here. Oh, I did want to... we'll go ahead and do the BRS battle assist. That's the checkbox I was talking about. we'll go ahead and use that for right now because there's no sense pushing deploy when we're not in a position where we can do anything. We're in traffic right now, I don't think. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that just makes sense to me. So we'll go ahead and tone those down a little bit.
Overtake is available.
Copy.
That'll allow us to hopefully let our deploy ERS last for longer as well. I don't think I could ever be an F1 driver, and not just because I don't have the skill. I don't think I could deal with this bar in the middle of my view. Like, maybe after a while you get used to it and just, you don't think about it. And I'm sure it's there for safety. So, I mean, I can't complain about something that's going to save my life, but it's still just, I don't know. It's a bar right in the middle of your screen, of your view. Altus finishing 15th would be great. We really need both to finish 15th, and I don't think that's even remotely going to be close to happening. All right, well, that was fun watching that first lap. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to the end unless something crazy happens, and we'll go from there. All right, I'm bringing you guys back for the last lap here. I mean, as you can see, Zhao is in, like, basically dead last. I mean, he's in 19th place. Piastri is right on his tail. That's how you say his name, right? I'll be honest, I don't watch Piastri. Yeah, okay. I don't watch F1, so forgive me if I pronounce people's names wrong. But so Zhao had a lockup, and then he's the one that got the bad pit stop that we were expecting because we had too high of a percent chance. So thankfully it was him, not Bottas, but he did get one. Bottas actually had two really good pit stops. But the reason I brought you back, one lap left. Bottas is in points right now, guys. But Albon is right on his tail. What's his name, right, Albon? I gotta look at guys' names. Apologize. Bear with me. He's right on his tail. We just passed him with DRS through this straightaway at the start of the final lap. We do not have much left in the tank over here. We are pushing the tires. We can't push the fuel. Can we do this, guys? Can we get this done? I'm going to change this over to neutral for just a second. I'm also going to come on here. He's at very high confidence. I'm going to tell him to always defend. I'm also going to put his aggression for overtaking it high. It's one lap. Supposedly what I've heard is that this is very dangerous because this actually increases your chance of an accident much higher than you would probably expect. But for one lap, surely we can make the magic happen and get some much needed very early points. Let's get into, actually, let's go watch him. We're going to get into this and we're actually going to watch it from, what's the best perspective? Probably the rear perspective, so we can go watch Albon here. I need to get fully past Albon, actually. Let's go and continue to do deploy for now. Let's get fully past him. I'm actually going to take off the ERS battle assist just for a moment. Let's see what happens. Can we cut him off? Can we cut off? No! There we go. Okay, we got him cut off. Officially cut off. Let's go back to neutral. Preserve a little bit. We'll turn on the battle assist, though, now, because we want to spend it when he sneaks up on us. Go, 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 go. All right, there's a turn. We are going to get a DRS here in a bit. Can we defend with this DRS? We almost could have pushed it to a full second if we continue to deploy, I suppose. But I don't know if that really would have worked out. We are going to go full deploy here. We're going to temporarily push for just this straight here. Just to defend him off. Okay, go back down to balance. Go back down to neutral. Can we hold him off? Oh, I don't know, guys. These points would be amazing. Go, 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 go. We have nothing left in the ERS tank. Nothing left. Nothing left. Oh, we're going to be out of fuel? No, we're not going to run out of fuel, are we? I don't know. I don't know. Are we going to run out of fuel here? No, we're good. We're good. Okay, it just barely ticked over. Oh, we were lapped anyway. We were fine on fuel. The fuel was not accounting for the fact that we were lapped. We did get 10th place though. There, sorry to ruin the excitement there for a moment because I got stressed about the fuel, but I forgot that we were okay on fuel because we had gotten lapped. Oh, we got some points, guys. Early points. Those points might carry us through most of the season because points are so hard to come by these bottom ranked teams that those might last us a while, honestly. Oh, so good. So good. We just won the championship. That's how I feel right now. Getting points in the first race where we do not deserve points. That was amazing. Oh, so good.
What an excellent drive there from Valtteri Bottas.
No, absolutely. Excellent drive. I mean, come on.
To work hard for those points today. What a phenomenal achievement that is.
Agreed.
The team has been
Agreed.
waiting patiently there, and you can see just how much it
I mean, he's acting like he just won the championship, which is how I feel. I mean, who cares about the podium? Podium schmodium. We got points as a terrible team.
And it was really well deserved.
Oh, good stuff. 1 point is all we got. But that might last us a while, honestly. We are now 7th. Yay! And that's exactly where we're supposed to be. I mean, the chances that Williams or McLaren or AlphaTauri are going to get points later on the season is pretty high, I'll be honest with you. Those points that we just got are not going to last forever. But it feels good for now. Maybe it'll make our board happy for a bit. And then hopefully we can build up our car enough to get some more points towards the end of the season. Obviously, we did not get any of this, I don't think. Oh! I'm shocked that we actually are on this table this early. Normally, I don't get on this table this early for my couple practice runs that I tried. Because I told you guys, I only did like 4 races a couple times. Didn't go well. This is definitely the best result so far for multiple reasons because I think I planned better. But we also got a little bit lucky there. But no, this is good. This is good. Getting on this board early, I'll take that. That just means the Red Bull's not going to be super far away by the time we actually start having faster pit stops than them. I'm ecstatic. That's going to be a better start to the season. We did lose a big chunk of performance guarantees, though, which is really unfortunate. I can't believe we didn't qualify better than we did. So rough. Yeah, we lost more money. That's a huge mistake, losing that too much money there. But I honestly thought we could get at least 15th qualifying. I mean, we finished 10th in the race. We definitely should be able to finish 15th qualifying, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Helipad is done. Team Hub is done. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and put a cut in there, I believe. Pretty long first episode. The future episodes probably will be closer to around 45 minutes long or so. That's my goal. I'm going to hope that with this sped up format, we'll be able to get like 2 races in per episode. We shall see. But up next on our calendar coming up, we got some parts finally coming up that we're going to be hopefully getting some... let's see, where's the parts? There's the parts right there. We do have some parts coming up here in a bit. Our side pod, obviously, which is very critical for us to keep our engine temperatures low. We got some scouting coming up here towards the end of the month. We will see where that gets us. Just out of curiosity, we're going to look at... I mean, is Piastri even remotely interested? He might not be interested right now because with the race season... Our race just ended. Where is he? Yeah, he's just not interested. We'll try to make the way we are, what am I trying to say, our team attractiveness go up and hope that is enough to help, kind of get him over the edge. We'll find out, but I do appreciate you guys watching. Please, if you like these types of videos and want to see more of them, it really helps the channel out. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so you know when these videos go live. And I'm going to try and put about 3 of these up a week, as usual, for most of my series. And, of course, comment below. Let me know if you like the format of speeding up the races, coming back for the action, things like that. Or if you'd rather see the full races, things of that nature. Or any other thoughts or suggestions you might have. But I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you, and I hope you join me again next time. Thank you, and goodbye. I wanted to give a special shout out to the following channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.